Hello there, my fellow Cybertronians. This is Mega Ginge on Ginger Transformer Podcast. Apologies for it being so long, but you know what it's like if you're not well, sick as a dog. You can't do this. You know, I mean, you could, but you'd probably disgust or make people sick just by watching it. So, well rested now. This is the second part of the shattered glass stuff I was talking about on the last podcast. But first, a couple of things, just because a few things have happened since the last one. New Titan, based on the Battersea Power Plant down in England. Nice. Yeah, apparently, tie-in comic. I think they voted on the name for the Titan. I think it's Powerplex. I'm sure I saw that somewhere. If it's not been done yet, I do apologise. But I saw Powerplex somewhere on Instagram, the font of all knowledge. That was out of the blue. I'm not gonna lie, I'm 50-50 on buying it, simply for the fact that I don't want to have my Autobot Titans outnumbering my Decepticon Titans. Simple as. So unless all of a sudden they're bringing out a new Decepticon one as well to go with, but I'm just going to call it Powerplex. But the Battersea Power Plant Titan, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if there's any other plans for that. Second thing is prices for everything are going up. I don't know what this means for anyone else, but for me, this probably means end to collecting because I can't justify something about this size being like 40, 50 quid, you know, like for 40, $50 if you're from America, you know, like a fucking tiny deluxe is now that price. I can't justify that anymore, you know, especially given the quality still not being exactly great. So we'll see where all that goes. With the new prices, I'm not sure when they come into effect. I think it's 2026. So, ironically, the 40-year anniversary of Transformers the movie would probably be the last year I'd collect anything, unless it was like specifically G1. I'm not just going to buy a G1ified bulkhead, you know, or strong arm. You know, I'm not going to do it. It'll just be a specific G1 stuff. It seems though I already have most of that. It really frees up a lot bit of money. So, so anyway, yeah, on to Shattered Glass Part Two. Last time I discussed all the BotCon slash TFCC related to Shattered Glass stuff. And once BotCon and TFCC stopped and were shut down, they've started, well, BotCon started again, but back in the day it was shut down. We assumed that this would be the end of all the Shattered Glassverse stuff. Worry ye not, IDW picked up the banner in 2021, I think it was. Yeah, once again, I have a list wrote down in front of me because that might be better, but the memory's still shot to buggery. So yeah, in 2021, RIP BotCon, IDW decided to fill our cravings for Shattered Glass stories and merch. So in 2021, we got a 5-part miniseries of comics brought out by IDW, and it's for our beloved backwards characters. You know, sorry, reverse characters, backward. You know what I mean? Autobots bad, Decepticons good. It's inspired by, not seemingly tied into the Fun Publication comics, which is good. And it ends on a kind of a cliffhanger on the first 5-parter. Basically, we see individual kind of stories, Blur, Starscream, Jetfire, and so forth through this, with the main aim for Goldbug to possess a Titan. Now, given it's Metroplex, I can only assume he's a bad guy, but you don't ever really see much of Metroplex in this 5-part series. But hey, we got some good figures out of it. Shattered Glass, Optimus, and Ratchet in a Gen Selects 2-pack in 2020, just before the series, the mini comic series came out. And 2021, we got the new Shattered Glass collection. Now, in 2021, this consisted of Shattered Glass Blur, Megatron, Starscream, Goldbug, and Jetfire. Basically, for each individual comic, you had a figure. People are saying, going, we didn't have a one for Optimus Prime. No, we didn't. Optimus Prime is not really the main character of any of these comics, but it's nice to see the spotlight on some others. Take note, Jetfire's was the only new design for toys so far. The rest were done before, between 2008 and 2015, in BotCon and TFCC. By that, I'm not meaning he was the first new mold. All these molds had been previously used for something else. It's just he was the first character, not used by FunPub, to get a figure. Okay, just to make that clear, there was a dark Jetfire that was brought out many, many, many years ago, but he wasn't considered to be a Shattered Glass character. He had the Shattered Glass colours. I think he was a Heineke figure, but he had a Decepticon logo. I'm just thinking this was what if Jetfire just stayed bad and didn't join the Autobots kind of figure. So doesn't really count. Same colour scheme doesn't count. 2022, another five-part series, giving us more characters and kind of conclusion to the arc that was started with the first five-part miniseries. Nothing further was brought out due to IDW giving up the Transformer comic rights to Skybound. Unfortunately, these five comics are once again basically all about getting their hands on a Titan. Plus at this point through these comics, the Decepticon resistance was now active again against the Autobots, whereas in the first miniseries it wasn't. You know, Megatron was in hiding, Starscream was still running about doing whatever he did, but that was really about it. Soundwave was just buried in a bunker somewhere, not dead, just he refused to leave so he could support fellow Decepticons who had trauma and shit. But yeah, this one it was all right. We get to see a full Titan in this, if not only for a couple of panels, really. And yeah, it was okay. Toys. Here we go. Shattered Glass Magnus, Blaster, Wheeljack, Slicer. They call him Slicer, but it's Wheeljack. Flame War, who was a Botcon Transformer. Soundwave with Ravage and Laserbeak. And that was 2022. 2023, we got SG Grimlock, SG Rodimus, SG Sideswipe with Minicom Whisper. But after that was pretty much all the toys we were given. That was that because once again, IDW finished all the runs. They didn't have any. It didn't have anything else really. They finished up More Meets the Eye, Lost Light. They finished up with the Unicron trilogy. Finished up with all that. Then we went to the bit. It's not a limited run, but limited compared to the first run of a new kind of like Transformers arc, which really was quite limited. And then they dipped into it Shattered Glass stuff. However, I don't know. Maybe there wasn't just maybe there was not a lot of interest in the Shattered Glass stuff. I don't know. Skybound has only at this point given us 24 Transformers, like complete Transformers comic, not the Energon Universe stuff with Solia and Derek, or however they pronounced it. Not the G.I. Joe stuff where you've got Hound in it, I mean, like the just proper Transformer comic. We only had 24. And they've had the reins for about 2 years now, I think. So I think it's like a comic a month. But it's like, if you want to expand a bit, Skybound, maybe that year two into the Shattered verse, Because let's face it, he's just went, fuck it, let's go for it. With your Generation One Transformer comics, you just said, fuck it, let's go. And that's, I'm not gonna lie, I'm enjoying the comics. I mean, from Optimus Prime on and about with Megatron's arm and fusion cannon to Cliffjumper sitting like that in a couple of panels, to I think it was Starscream blowing Bumblebee's face off right at the start to make sure he was not in it at all. Dead, done. You took a more brutal kind of way of doing things and you made it work. So with IDW's Shattered Glass, they were, even for Shattered Glass, I'm not saying they were timid, but compared to what you could do, dear God, just you could turn it in this giant murderous hellhole kind of dimension. And that I think that would be perfect because it is as what it's supposed to be. But yeah. I told you all where to get these comics and the last podcast, but just in case anyone didn't know, for BotCon Comics, there's a site called readallcomics.com, and TCC ones can be TCC Shadowglass Comics we find on readcomicsonline.com. For the IDW stuff, it's the first one, readallcomics.com. You can get them on both, but the first one tends to give you less pop-up ads. So that's Read All Comics. You can get both mini-series there. It's why I didn't do any descriptions this time, because it's like, listen, if I reached any of you and you hadn't heard of Shattered Glass before, and now you're like burning through them going, this is quite nice, They've got both of them on there. They are quite good. I, I'm not gonna lie, they're really good, right? And it makes me wonder why they didn't get more like toys. We have the molds for them, for literally all of them. A bit of repaint. You don't even need to put on a new head. We'll know who the characters are. Skybound, this is your chance. Bring us some Shattered Glass, get Hasbro involved with some new figures, keep the Shattered Glass fan base happy. I will admit, at this point, I do not have any Shattered Glass figures myself. I don't, because it became Generation 1 or just bringing in everything else. And even back then, that was a no-go with the money. So it was sticking to my Generation 1 stuff. I ever won the lottery, I'm buying everything. You know, well, Shattered Glass in Generation 1. Not everything. I'll never buy Bayverse. And there's a little side note on here, though. Between all comics, we see plenty of SG figures, so these are usually using molds from other franchises, e.g., Transformers 2007 Strong Arm was repurposed as SG Brawn, which is true. 2007 Grindcore as SG Scoop. Armada Jetfire used as SG Astro Train. SG Scores repurposed from a BotCon 2009 sweep. But it's basically saying what I already said, you know. We have the figures. And let's face it, Hasbro loves to repaint all this stuff. They really do. And I think, why not? Other news. We've seen a new thing. I think it's a Thundercracker mold for SS86 Thundercracker, and once again, it's a new jet mode. So everyone will now be throwing out the jets they previously bought to buy in probably a bunch of new jets who all have this brand new mold, right? Hasbro loves its repaints. And you know what? If it makes sense, go for it. I have no problem whatsoever. I'm just saying, for SG characters, all you need to do is get the color scheme. I mean, Christ, Warpath is green, I think, and we've already got. It was in a 3 pack. It was a GoBots 3 pack, and he came out as Treads, which is from once again Fun Pub stuff. But Treads is green. Basically, you've got your Mirror Universe Warpath right there. So it's not even as if it's difficult to do. Just look at the colours of some of them and just bring them back out. A lot of money could be made off of like proper professional collectors. Once again, at this point, it'll take a lottery one for me to be one of those. I'm now just basically hanging up the spurs unless I see any G1 related, like Sure Shot or Joyride, I think's coming out. If I see the throttle bots, but at this point, that's me. I'm done. Especially with the prices going up, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So, but yeah, I'm hoping, between the last video and this one, for anyone that didn't know what shattered glass was, I've given you like the basics, and I've got a bit of interest for you because it is quite nice to see Megatron being the hero and Optimus Prime being, well, a brutal killer. You know, it's good to see this stuff kind of like reversed. But then again, that could just be me, as I mentioned in the first video. I really like Mirror Universe kind of stuff, going all the way back to Star Trek back in the '60s. It always fascinated me. So, I mean, I might be the only person that's actually interested. Maybe that's why they stopped bringing out SG figures because no one was buying. But anyway, yeah, that's that. A couple of little updates and basically the rest of the SG stuff. And I will see you next time.